Hello, Proxy Table Gaming, PTG, here once again. The sun is shining at last for one day. I
Absolutely.
am Hyper G, you are Lucky Sixes.
Yeah, I know. I honestly, the amount of rain we've had in this summer,
Yeah, I
it's been
know.
crazy.
Like everyone in the whole rest of the world, England has been raining for 2 months
It's too
in
much.
summer. And I know the
It's
rest of the world is struggling with all sorts of things,
too
heat-wise.
much.
Um,
But
but
yes.
yeah.
I mean, speaking of sun and summer,
Mm,
we
something happened.
start. Something happened a little while ago, and it was the ETC, baby.
Yeah,
You
yes.
may have seen some videos that we've uploaded of recent things, and
If this is the moment that they work out or hear that you
yeah,
went to ETC as part of Team
yeah,
England, then where have they been?
you've missed a lot. There's
Yeah,
been a lot of stuff going on, but
but
yes.
it doesn't
So
mean you can't enjoy it because if this is the first time you're hearing about it, Lucky Sixes went to ETC.
yeah, maybe, and
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was great. I very much recommend you watching the other videos, which sort of summed up the experience as a whole.
Mm.
And I'm probably going to do another hobby update at some point, just going through that. So watch out for that. Like, share, subscribe, and click on the notification bell wherever it is.
Very
Um,
good. Hitting it early this video.
well,
Nice.
absolutely, absolutely. So just to make sure you keep up to date with all of them, because this is ETC season, and we get the pleasure of doing lots of bat reps, and lots of
Yeah.
bat reps I have got for you because there was a lot of battles. Oh
Well,
my
well done on
goodness.
that. Just before we even get into it, well done for taking pictures while you were there, because I
Hmm.
very much like said to you months ago, like you're going to ETC as part of Team England. You are not going to have time to take pictures. You are
Yes.
just going to have to be focused. This is the big one. This is the big leagues now. You can't possibly take pictures. But from what I hear, and I haven't seen any of them
No.
because I'm literally
yeah.
seeing the pictures as we
Yeah.
go.
Wait till you
But
see it. Yeah.
from what I hear, you've taken pictures of pretty much your whole time there. So I'm very much looking
Yes.
forward to
I
it.
have,
So
and yeah,
yeah.
we did we took quite a lot of pictures, a few little mini videos and things like that as well. So it was great. It was a really really good experience, and now I get to talk about the battles and the
Yeah.
and up, which is great. And first up was actually the day before ETC. Was
Hmm.
our scrimmage, I guess. In the morning we had a practice battle versus
Oh.
USA,
So what
and
day is this? This is Thursday of
this is the
ETC week.
Thursday. Yeah, so
Oh,
Tuesday,
okay.
Wednesday we spent in Amsterdam, and then
Drinking.
and other things. Yes, and I think not too many other things. Don't worry.
I was going to say that leaves
but yeah,
opens the door to a lot of
yeah,
imagination.
I immediately regret saying that, but no, but
Yeah.
anyway. But yes, drinking, and then Thursday we went straight in. It took it seriously, and against USA we were, and yeah, the scrimmage happened. I turned up against uh, Caps as well, Captain America himself,
Oh
who
wow.
we had shared a few bevies with on the Tuesday as well. So that was nice to actually get to play him and serious mode and took
Yeah.
and we get on. For reference, I guess we should spend a bit of time on the list, as this is when I'm playing for 8 battles. No, because there's 8 throughout the ATC period. So three
Yeah.
vampire courtiers, all with separate things. The first two Nosferatu necromancers. Nosferatu
Masters.
masters is what I mean.
Yeah.
Supreme
Supreme
Leash
Leash.
giving me an extra spell as well. So just loads of spells between them. That was 10 spells right there. One with 2 up,
Well,
5 up.
11 with Dead or Rise.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Mm.
Spoiler. um, yeah, one with a 2 up, 5 up, one with a 4 up, 4 up, both with halberd, so strength 6 for attacks. The other courtier rocking the Strigoi bestial bulk, so he can go in and make the ghast scoring, which is an interesting thing. He also had a binding scroll and halberd, so again strength 6, and some other shizzles. He had 4 wounds and a 4 up region. as well with that.
Yeah.
35 ghouls, just poisony goodness. 32 skeletons with Legion Banner to go alongside the court, which is coming later. 2 dogs, one of which, 2 lots of dogs, one of which with the champion. 1 bat swarms for chaff. Gas as mentioned, court as mentioned. 8 wraiths with champion. I desperately tried to keep as many in as possible with all my tweaks over the times, but 8 was the maximum I could have. Rocking some more spells, even more so, which takes my total to 14. What? Phantom Host, 4 Phantom Hosts as pseudo chaff. They were interesting, and we'll get into them.
Very cheap for what they do.
Yeah, really, really cheap. 160 points, really, really cheap. And they were an interesting unit to use because they're not like troops. They've got no musician, but they can move through things. They're this weird in-between unit, which I want to get into in some of the battles.
They can move when the target is right in front of them.
Yes, exactly. If you stay in a huck, oh boy, they can chaff you. Then 5 knights with standard bearer, musician, and champion, and basically the list came down to keeping 5 knights in over the wraiths and adding in things. So that's the maximum I could have had. Otherwise, as you say,
is it though? Is it though?
No, not really. You could have 15, couldn't you? Really? But hey.
Amazing.
But yes, that's my list.
Great.
On to Caps, and he's got all the shooting and blade huntsmen
Sylvans.
And blade dancers, and Forest Rangers was an interesting one to have alongside those other threats, those other combat threats. And I guess from a shooting perspective, it could be shootier, but 9 Pathfinders, 18 Sentinels, 16 Archers, all the Heath Riders with extra. Oh yeah, it's
still a decent amount of arrows.
I can't work out whether it's MSU or MMU because the White Huntsman.
I think it's just Sylvans.
Yeah,
I think they have their own category. Really,
essentially, it's all the things you kind of see, but the Forest Rangers are added, and the Wild Huntsman and Blade Dance are bigger units than perhaps you would see. Otherwise, 3 druids with all the again. I shouldn't moan, but he's got heals. Binding Scroll and a Crystal Ball, which is pretty good defense to some of the things. Shamanism Apprentice, who's a nice cheap apprentice for +1 strength, so you can top it up with Cosmology to get the double strength bonus. Book of Arcane Mercy, Obsidian Rock, and BSB with the bow. So all the Sylvan stuff that you would have imagined. But
yeah.
We played in Circle and Spores of War. We rolled that up and played that for our practice round.
And this is Cap's ETC list, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So
he was going into it for this reason as well.
Yeah. It was a practice round basically. I mean, this is at the ETC at the venue itself, and we went to practice. So if you've seen Glory of Golden State Gaming's YouTube channel. They've recently released the Highborn versus our ID, Jake.
Okay.
And they sort of, it was a very good video, guys, well done. And they sort of went into it in that they were trying to test out some matchups that they wanted to, perhaps hadn't had a lot of experience with.
Okay.
So they got, basically what you'll find is every team thinks they had a good pairings.
Right. Yeah. Generally,
is what seems to be coming out of it. I mean, everyone, but in terms of our pairings,
no one gets it right, is what you're saying.
Well, yeah, because sometimes they get the matchups wrong, or perhaps misjudge some things that are in the list, or miss things.
The dice just change things.
Or the dice just change things. So lots of reasons. But so in terms of our matchups, we had 4 greens, 2 yellows, and those are oranges rather than reds as well. So in terms of how we did it, we had there was like a super green, which was 16 plus. A green was 12 to 15. Yellow was 8 to 12. Orange was 5 to 8, and red was, and if you get 5, you're lucky. So that's kind of how we did it. I know different teams have different things. And overall, on the round, we should be looking good. It was
Yeah.
probably a small win, is what we
Yeah.
got from this.
So. And just to go left to right, who's Team England? And the armies, who's playing?
So yes, you've got, and this stays the same for all the back reps. I've kept it in the
Yeah.
same order. So you got myself on vampires, Tanker on warriors, Josh on Sylvans, El Capitan Hugh on ogres, Wes on Knights of the Realm, Kingdom of Ectane, Jake on ID, Luke Trenta on Beast Herds, and Darren Williamson on Vermin Swarms.
Cool, nice. Thank
Don't
you.
make me do that for every single other team, though.
I might now that you've said not to. Yeah.
But then we've got this. So these are the matchups. If you want to have a look at them, you decide whether those are green and stuff. Obviously, we haven't got all the lists, but in general speaking, do you think
But you can find the list for ETC? So
yeah, new recruit
game if you want to play it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you really want to go into depth, see if you agree with that or not. But this is our pairings and what we got from it. So onto our game specifically. This was. And we say about doing pictures, I got very excited, took first turn, and then said, "Oh yeah, I've got a YouTube channel."
I mean, really?
So this is after deployment and my movement of round one. So
it's a good demonstration of your little corner mark.
Yeah, and what I would say is as well, in order with the timings and things, obviously there is a longer time, but it goes very, very quickly.
Sure, round times what? Was it 4 hours? The round?
4 hours. 4 hours, including pairings, I believe. So I think you had like half-hour pairings, 3.5 hours games, and then 15 minutes results. So it was 4 hours 15, I guess. But really, that 15 isn't game time; it's results time. But yeah, so I got into the habit beforehand of putting my corners down, and getting my dice. You don't see it here, but I put them into groups of 10s and things like that, just to help me speed up as much as possible. And yeah, that sort of helped me get the time for the pictures as well. So I did work on my game in order to try and I don't think I'm particularly slow anyway, but I didn't want to. No. I didn't want to be slow, because of pictures or anything or stress or whatever. So anyway, tangent there. I've got this. Oh yeah, another tangent, which I should say, and going into it. The boards and the mats, as you see, it's all flat terrain, but it's in the mats themselves. They were developed like this, and you can also see there's hold the center here, which obviously we're not doing, but all the deployment lines and objectives that are set are put on the board, which is great. So even if it was diagonal and spoils, you've got that. If it was, whatever, in circle, you've got the lines to help you out with that. So that really helped as well, speed things up and look quite nice. I'm not a personal fan of flat terrain, and I don't use it quite a lot. But it was nice. It was from a competitive game point of view, mechanically, it worked great. Yeah. Really, really good. So that's what you're seeing here. So what you're seeing is on there. So you've got like the house from the bottom left, ruins, forest. He's also placed a forest as well, and that's the only 3D thing on the board in terms of terrain, anyway. But yes, so that was cool. That was really cool, actually, to play on them. But as I said, let's get into the actual game. I've got ghouls who have just marched up. Spirit hosts with dogs behind them because I know otherwise they'll just get killed. The ghasts with the bats behind them. The skeletons did march through that in the end. Water, and they took one death, so I was happy with that. So yeah,
you knew that I was looking at that the minute you showed this picture.
I absolutely know.
I was like, my units can't walk through water.
I needed that arc. I needed that arc, and this is spoils, wasn't it? So you've got 1, 2, 3. That's the spoils, and yeah, I just needed them there basically. I've got alongside them. I've got the dogs, the wraiths behind the knights, and obviously the knights there. My plan is to march up. I don't think he can go into my poison stuff with a lot of things, because he will do loads of damage, but he will die. The forest guard are the one thing I'm perhaps maybe they've got enough number to actually chew through me. I'm not best pleased at the strength 5 as well, so maybe they do all right against the gas. I'm not sure, but they do have, they've got all the magic to support as well. So yeah, and otherwise, I want to try and zone his right side, which from his point of view, if we go from his left to his right, he's got the scoring Heath Hunters with a mage in, who was like a chocobo ostrich thing,
Nice.
the blue thing in there. Then he's got his archers. Then he's got some of the. It's largely
Sylvan
irrelevant, but Sentinels, and the other guys, Pathfinders behind in some formation.
Yeah, 2 Sentinels and 1 Pathfinders.
The 15 Forest Guard are the ones on the leftmost. Forest Rangers are in the forest. The War Dancers are also in the forest. Then you go into Wild Huntsmen, and then the Light Troops Heath Hunters on the right.
Yeah. Nice.
So my plan was with the wraiths, have them in a position where if I needed to screen them, if I needed to sweep them, I could do that on one of those units because they're pretty bad against range. And I've got double move and raise dead if I need to, and hopefully some chaff. So sort of screen that side and zone that side while I'm moving up in the centre and maybe supporting. So that was my plan.
Right.
And we get on to magic, which was
Your next
a breath of
picture is
corruption.
turn 5.
Yes, I know. Yeah. Breath of corruption. I got 4 out of 5 off. And I was so annoyed because, again, as I said, he can heal. So I'm like, so annoyed. 1 off.
Mr. Vampire, yes.
I know. It was annoying that I didn't get 5. If you kill them dead, they can't heal, but they did. So that's something I got to bear in mind. He then moves like this, so he kind of just shuffles.
Yeah, he's turning on the flank.
Yeah. What was interesting for me that he didn't go after the spoil straight away with his scoring unit.
Sure.
Which sort of a bit of alarm bells really in that point of view. I was like, okay.
As in, you
that's
thought he might ignore it entirely.
No, I thought he would go for it and just keep that unit safe, and that's a spoil done. So then we just look at the centre for winning. So I was like, okay, well, at some point he's going to get that, but when? So that's something to bear in mind. Otherwise, just shuffling around. I'm going to move us because I know that there's something in that top right corner that we need to look at. He does this to me in shooting, which actually wasn't that bad in terms of what he's got. But he also
it's a
heals
surprising
up.
choice that he's decided to go for the ghouls because they're res 4. But I guess there's no armor there, is there? So.
There's no armor, and the bulk of his shooting is on this left side, so he can't really go for the skeletons as much, and the other one's the ghasts. So they're like kind of
fair enough.
The best of a bad choice. He does heal up to Heath Riders as well. On the top right, as you can see. On my turn, I move up like so, pretty nonchalantly in the middle, just to keep up appearances and keep together with everything. And on the right, just the zoning, and I moved up my knights a bit further, and then put my race over there so they couldn't get out of arc without being done by the wraiths. Basically, yeah. I heal up. I get 2 heals off. Basically, he's done 2 wounds after my turn 2.
Oh,
which is why I shouldn't moan. On top of that as well, I had the best phase where he stopped 1 of my heals. I got 2 off, and then still got a breath of corruption to kill off the rest of the 3 up there. So it was just, I can 2 dice most things as well. So I think I 3 dice to heal first. He stopped that, and then he 2 dice, and it's just one of those phases that just everything went off for me. Over here, he puts again, I haven't got a picture of movement, but he shuffles around. There's nothing too great in terms of that, and he gets healing waters off on the war dancers. He goes back and shoots me again, and I was like, okay, yeah, absolutely. So he's doing that. He also shoots some dogs over here and shoots them dead. I think this was a thing of magic and then shooting as well. It
Sure.
was so he got a Master of Earth or something like that off on.
Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah, so then on to my turn movement. I look like this, and I start backing away with the ghouls because just in case I can't heal them up nicely. But I move around with the wraiths to be a bit more aggressive with them. I kind of get to this point and I go, maybe he's also scared of me. You know, maybe
It's one of those jippers. Or maybe it's first battle of the ETC week and we're just going to have a 10-10.
Yes, yeah, that sort of thing. The knights have at this point picked it up, I think, and moved over. So they've picked up at the start of the game. So the knights have that rather than my skeletons. They just have moved over at this point. I heal them back this much, so it was only with, and that was only with one heal spell. So that's like 10 out of a maximum of 10. D6 plus 4. So baller, but I only get the one. So yeah, he does stop the other two. But I only get the other one because I do a grave calls off on these guys and do 5 out of them, which is all right.
Great. Yeah,
but then he can heal 4
pretty
with
quickly,
one heal.
Yeah.
So it's all right. But I guess
you got that even with him having healing waters on.
Yeah.
Fortitude. Wow.
Yeah. Clearly. Or he got healing waters in the last one and it was just out of place. Not sure. Okay. He moved up like so. So he went for the objective at this point, which is really interesting to me. I've got the spirit host there as well, which he doesn't have magical attacks. And he can't. I don't think he can get them with these things. I'm like, well, I've got 3 upside. It's one of those. I could just bounce, or I could actually go through it because he's only res elf. You know,
res elf. It's a thing.
Yeah, so but he did move up with some counter charges and things as well, so I've got to bear that in mind as well. But yeah, that was really interesting. And the shooting continues. He's a little bit closer now as well, so he's strength 4 with some of this stuff. And it's so much, it's mad. I charge in. I'm like, you know what? We're here to party, and I think if I can maybe get some spells off on them, we're gravy. And this is the board. I should say though, and this is a new feature for the ETC things. Oh, timeout, baby, timeout!
Ding ding ding,
ding ding ding. Now, so this is at this point, just before this is where I took my timeout, basically, and I said, look, he's presented me with this lovely charge, but is it a lovely charge? Am I falling into a trap? And I talked through with Tom Udin as well, to
coach. Yeah,
he was the coach for the ATC. He was great, really, really good, helpful. And and we said, well, you know what, I might have this, and we talked lots, and it was just they're on the objective, so he's making the play, he's going to move them away. I need to sort them out. So blah blah blah. And we decided that if I was going to go in, I needed to just keep the Forest Rangers at bay, and also I needed to create some sort of threat on the right hand side with my wraiths. So I'm now within 11, because you need to be within 11 to march over them and move back 1 with my wraiths, and I'm out of arc as well, which is nice. So creating a bit of threat over there, so he couldn't just focus in the middle. And see if I can force something really. And there was another reason why I thought those spirit hosts were a really interesting unit, because it's got 12 or 14 attacks, and I was like, well, against these smaller...
you're not really there to kill them quickly, though, are you?
No, exactly. As long as I survive, and with the 3-up Aegis, they might survive. So it's how good I can roll. Can I roll 3s? Right, that's my thing. In combat though, he kills 4 and I kill 3, which is I'm not gonna lie, I thought I'd do a bit more and he'd do a bit less, but I crumble 3, it looks like, as well. Why would I crumble 3? Maybe he's done 5 wounds and I've done 3. I've charged, so I crumble. It got back or whatever. So this is it after crumble. And I was like, okay, so I do need to do something. Obviously, that unit's there on the left-hand side, but they're in the flank. And if they're in the flank, then I can counter-charge with my ghasts. So it's not too bad. So he decides to back off. Interestingly,
Okay.
which I was surprised at, because I thought he'd pushed forward to do that in order to sort of press me a bit. But clearly he thought he'd get enough points else otherwise. So I was interested. Did you see what he did there? Shooting. He just just don't worry. Just concentrate on these two guys, and I'm now down to two. Yeah, absolutely. And then, they're a good chunk of points. They're 450 odd points or whatever.
Yeah.
So
that's
maybe
like
that's
what, half the objective, isn't it? 450 points.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Dogs die as well, so I've lost 2 dots of chaff, and potentially my ghouls if I can't rise them. After combat, he did nothing this time, which was crazy. And I did 4.
That's what 3-up Aegis is all about, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so spiky. It's so spiky. And he stuck around on steadfast because I'm light troops and I'm standard size, so I'd need to have 5 in the front in order to have a rank. Which again, another interesting thing for them. Oh no, I'm not light troops.
You're not light troops. Yeah.
Mentioned that before. But because he stuck around, I then charged with my ghasts, and that'll be fine because I'll be able to grind them out from my point of view.
Actually, the fact that you aren't light troops, does that not mean he's not?
No, because I'm not large. I'm standard size.
Oh, so you need 5. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask earlier if you did stomps, and obviously you don't.
Yeah.
So I actually already knew they were standard, but
yeah. My 2 ghouls come off the tray because at this point
they're hiding.
I don't think. Yeah. Oh my goodness. They go that way. Otherwise, I just sort of come up a bit. He's moved his forest a few times as well. Vel tokens to move up so that I'm in it, and he would be in it if he ever charged.
He's just in denial that there's a vampire army behind the forest.
Absolutely.
If it's not there, we don't have to deal with
Yeah,
it.
and because I knew that my focus would be the middle, I kind of moved my wraiths in a bit again, more for zoning than anything, with my knights back there just holding on to that spoil really. After combat, just obliterated them. I obliterated them, but not to a man. And my spirit hosts then ran them down. In my magic phase, I didn't get any buffs off because he stopped them, but I did get a magic move on my bats, which stopped his forest guard coming into me on his terms, which is good.
And you're not really worried what happens to the phantom hosts anyway, because they are
they've kind of got their points, because I think it's about 180 for the forest guard. So and obviously now I've got the objective. If I can,
2-0.
If I don't die anyway. From his point of view, he took a 10 charge into my ghouls here.
Oh, into the ghouls, not into the gas.
Right. No, not into the gas, because they're only strength 4 on the charge. I want to say maybe strength 5. And they just don't do enough to me. They might pin me, but they don't do enough
until you turn around.
Yeah. So there's that. So they took into the ghouls and failed. So it was a longer charge, but failed it. Thankfully, anyway, because that's just literally as far as I could get them. There, charges in with his forest rangers into my chaff, which is another chaff unit. So I have got to be careful about points at this point, because I'm bleeding. But now I've got the big units that really have all the staying power. Shooting and magic, just even with the 3-up save, just sheer quantity of shots is amazing. And he pops off these last 2 with shooting as well. So it's a big chunk of points. After again more shooting goes into them and obviously kills them. So it's like 160, 105, and then the last 250, whatever. It's about 400 points. Probably more actually. Yeah.
Well, with the ghouls
about
being 450 on their own. Yeah.
So crazy. Lots of points and moving into me. And at this point, I totaled it up, and I knew that I had, if I can get the spoils with these 4 units, I had an 11-9 win.
Okay,
so
you worked that out as you were playing.
Yep. So another thing we did in order to sort of save time and things was keeping points tallying, and obviously that just took off tick 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 from his point of view that last turn, and yeah, smacked, did it up, and he was up on points. I was on 11-9. I danced macabre with these boys back.
Okay, you packed up,
and that's how it ended.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So you were. I mean, you're probably going to show it in a minute. Actually, you were a green matchup, weren't you?
Yes. So yeah. So in terms, I'll move us back so that we don't get
let's
in the way.
not worry about that too much. Good win. You've just won.
Yes.
Well done.
I know, but this is exactly my thinking throughout the whole weekend was, right, that's what my score is, what's everyone else's. It wasn't even about winning. It was nice I got a small win. Would have liked to get more, and I think
especially over a player like Caps, I mean,
yeah, absolutely, and that was my big thing. I guess going back to this, he does have another turn, but he doesn't have enough to shoot anything.
To get points out of any unit,
of sorts. One thing that was interesting, which was a learning point for us all and Caps as well, which I thought was interesting, is that he tried. So my wraiths are there, right, and realistically, there's 9 wounds in that, so that's going to be, it needs a spike, but that's where the points are. At the minute, he can't see anything. He can't see them through my units easily. He moved up his unit with the BSB and Great Bow of Wiskin, whatever, in that unit of, I want to say Pathfinders, there might have been whatever. And so he moved them up to a point where they could shoot in terms of range, and then moved his cavalry guy into that unit, so that because the cavalry guy can see it, the volley fire could then see it as well, which is absolutely true if he could join that unit. Now, the reason he can't is because they're skirmishers, I believe, and he's a different size, so can't change. There was a reason he couldn't join the skirmishers, and I think it's if you're skirmish, you have to be the same size
in order to not have a mismatched
model base. Yeah, right, that sort of thing.
But if you were you can join a unit if you're mismatched bases. But not if they're.
But not if you're skirmished, I think, was the thing that came out of it, which was really interesting, because he was like, I'm going to be able to see them. Because I moved them there, going, you can't see them. He goes, I'm going to be able to see them. And then we were like, oh, yeah, no, because of that specific ruling, you can't. But, yeah. In fact, actually, Tankard finished with his game, and he was like, I'm not sure about that. So he helped with that, clearing that up. But, I mean, great to clear it up from Cap's point of view now. As well. So, yeah, again, he did have a turn, but he just basically didn't commit anything and didn't shoot anything of note, which led us to an 11-9, which took us on to the scores of the rest of the team. And as you can see, these are the scores. So we got some big wins in our greens. Generally, our greens didn't do too bad. Tanker, I think, had a bit of bad dice, and the dice took it from a 12 to an 8, so that's fair enough. Josh got his 8 from 8 to 12. Hugh had a big loss from that point of view. Big wins for Wes and Jake, and then those oranges were actually reds. We worked out after this, so good in terms of the match, which unfortunately for all you England fans out there meant that we lost the practice round. But hey, it's a practice, didn't really matter too much.
Yeah,
if we'd have won
it ever again.
If we'd have won, it wouldn't have been practice. And then
it would have been the biggest thing to forget about the whole ETC. This was the main event. Yeah.
But because we lost, it was practice. Don't worry about it.
Of course it was. Yeah, it didn't even matter.
Good luck to you.
Let's not even. We may as well not even bother putting this back.
Yeah, I mean, let's
does it.
So we just go back to this. It's probably
yes, that's a good screen. Go with that one. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was
1-0 lucky sixes, right?
1-0 lucky sixes. But a great game against Caps. Caps is such a nice guy. I had lots of fun with it, even though not a lot happened in terms of us actually going at each other. And I think he got perhaps one point more than he thought he was going to get, and I got about what I wanted. And obviously, it's quite nice to actually follow through on that as well.
Yeah, great. Well done you, and good start. Good start.
Yes, absolutely.
a very hard-earned 380 back victory points
I know.
with an objective.
It's mad, doesn't it? Really, that's oh goodness
That's
me.
just Sylvans for you. The minute he started turning his flank as you turned his, you were literally rotating. You almost played
Yeah.
Battle for the Past by the end of it.
Yeah,
And the fact that he can stand off and you can't commit without him just shooting you to death.
Yeah, there was that one move as well where he pushed up and then just retreated with everything. And at that point, I'm not going to catch him. I'm not going to be able to catch him.
Yeah, and if you don't charge that unit with your Phantom Hosts, then maybe he doesn't get your chaff, but you don't get his forest.
Yeah, and he wins the objective
guard either, and he grabs the objective and runs away with that. Exactly. So, swings and roundabouts. But no, I think it's a good opening battle, a little skirmish battle, that one.
Yeah, it was, and it was good to test the waters to make sure my marching bubble was all there as well, being undead. And it was a
just another observation. The movementtray.com, they look really good. The movement trays.
Yes, absolutely. They were really great. Really great. All the not just the trays themselves, all the sticks and things for measurements were super useful.
Hitting caps multiple times throughout his turn.
Yeah,
really useful
with different length poles.
You think he's joking?
Comment. yeah, absolutely. No, it was great, and all the Americans were great to chat to throughout the weekend, actually, and throughout the week. Yeah, it was really good, and good luck to them. I mean, you might already know where they place.
Yeah. Sweet, lovely. Well, we'll move on to. So we're not moving into the tournament yet, or we are?
No, there's something very important before we have the Ashes, baby.
Oh. Yes.
With the
We're
Aussies.
not talking about the cricket, are we?
And we're not talking about the cricket. We are talking about the Ninth Age Ashes.
Yes.
The models version, where models are crushed up into an urn. And maybe from the first ever.
Not recommended.
Thing. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so that's really interesting. And I'm against. I won't tell you what he's playing, but I'll tell you I was against Mr. Payne.
Ooh,
that's my spoiler. The Pain Train.
Is it all the Pain Train, I was going to say. Bound to be. Sweet, well, we'll look forward to that. But in the meantime, do comment, like, subscribe, share, all that jazzy-o. Because we love reading your comments. And
absolutely.
Yeah, get ready for a bit of summer fun at ETC with Lucky Sixes. Good stuff.
Yeah, man.
We'll see you in... No, I was about to say round 2. We'll see you in the Ashes.
See you later.